Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to look at a stock called ChargePoint Holdings. This is quite interesting. If you look at this chart, it has been actually making upward move and then it retraces. And if you look at the retrace, right? So the retrace is not bad. It managed to retrace at the level of 50%, which is still healthy. You see, when the price moved down to that 50%, it actually bounced back. So that's quite healthy in terms of the buyer's strength. And the other interesting thing you'll see in this particular stock is actually it made some bearish kind of trend, which is actually what we call as descending triangle. You see, there is a descending triangle. Usually, statistically, descending triangle is not really a good pattern. But the good part in this particular stock, ChargePoint Holding, is it actually managed to make a breakout. It managed to do a breakout here. Because usually in this kind of pattern, it will not do a what you call breakout on the upper side. Usually it will actually break down here, somewhere down here. But you see, this particular trend is suggesting that the buyer is getting weaker and the seller is gaining more power, because as the price, as the buyer trying to push it up, you see the seller trying to pull it down. Buyer push it up, seller pulling it down. So the seller seems to be in more control. But surprisingly, in this particular stock, ChargePoint, we see that the buyers managed to pull it out all the way and managed to break out from this particular resistance line. So what does it suggest to us? Is it this particular stock, ChargePoint, is actually on a bullish trend, or what is it? So that's what basically. And right now, if you look at here, it's actually doing a bit of retracement. So we want to see how far it's going to go. We're going to investigate this as well in this video. So basically this video is for those of you interested in this particular stock. You want to see how the price move, understand the what you call the sentiment behind it. So you can continue to watch this video until the end. So I'm going to explain a lot more other points that we can observe from this particular trend. We're going to look at the long term, medium term, and also the short term, or how we analyze all these things. So it's going to be very fruitful if you watch it until the end. So this is Shah&Co. Please like, share, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We're going to start immediately. Okay, so now we're going to start our analysis. I'm going to have three kind of analysis. I'm going to analyze the yearly chart, then weekly chart, and also the day chart. So let's start with the yearly chart. So let's have a look at the yearly chart. What is the monthly chart, weekly chart, and day chart. So we're going to look at the monthly chart first. Oh, okay, let me enlarge it. Okay, I hope this is big enough for us to see things clearly. So what can we see from this chart? Interesting formation. So we have a strong bullish run, and then we have a retracement. And as I mentioned earlier, this retracement was what you can see from this retracement. It did not cross beyond that 50%. Okay, so that's one point we can. So I can show it to you. Or even in the monthly chart, we do observe that. So from the low here, all the way to the high. So I'm using a log chart right now. So you see, even before the interesting, in the monthly chart, even before that 50%, somewhere around 38% is actually doing a bounce up. Okay, so of course there's a wick going all the way. I mean, if you just look at the body, I mean, it managed to close around 38%. So which is quite positive. Okay, so that means the buyers managed to pull it up to that 38% from 50, but you will see slightly different in the weekly and the day chart later on. Okay, so that's one positive aspect. And another positive aspect I want to inform you in this video is, you see, when the price is moving down, right, sellers are pushing it down, right, suddenly there's a buyer interest coming in, and it's quite solid, and it's on a high volume as well. Okay, we want to see how strong is this particular up move. Okay, so how we analyze this is by taking the, so this is we're going to look at what the chart pattern called A pattern. So you'll see A formation here. So see, we first step is actually for us to pick the lowest point. So this is the lowest point, right? So this candle is the lowest point. We'll make it as a center, okay, and then what we will do is we'll try to draw a water line at the top, the close, or rather the close, yes, close of that center line. So we'll do a water line. So maybe I'll change this color to something different. What, probably blue. Okay, so you see the water line is that blue line, and what we're going to see is the 3 candles before and the 3 candles after the center. How do they behave? So if you look at the, and we are particularly looking at a bearish candle on the left hand side, where it is above that water line. It must be 50% above the water line. So the immediate one, which is the one I'm pointing my mouse cursor to, it's not really covering body of this particular candle is not 50% above that water line, so we need to ignore that even though it's a bearish candle. So we'll take the next candle, which is this particular candle. So you see this candle is above that water line, and it's the body is actually bearish, so we will take that. Okay, we'll take that. Okay, so then we look on the right hand side. So let me highlight this. So our comparison is going to be using this particular candle, okay, this candle, and then this is the center. From the center we go on to your right hand side, we look for 3 candles, but this time we are looking for a bullish candle. So definitely this is the bullish candle, but this bullish candle, is it like 50%? Is it 50% above the water line? Actually no, it's majority of the body is actually at the lower part of the water line. So since we are not finding any bullish candle above what you call this water line, so we will conclude that this is not having any A pattern. See, why we want to look at the A pattern? Because the A pattern, let's say I give a hypothetical idea. Say example, if this particular green bullish candle, right, it hits above, if it managed to hit above the high of our bearish candle here, so if this particular green managed to pull up beyond that particular what you call bearish from the center, so we are actually making a comparison from the center of the lowest, 3 to the left, 3 to the right. Does this particular is there any up moves that is strong, so that we can see that so if, say example, if this green candle was strong enough to pull it beyond the high of the bearish, right, bearish candle, then we will say that okay, definitely this particular ChargePoint counter has got some strength in it, because the buyers are coming in full force. But right now we are not saying it is weak, but or rather it is actually weak, because when we don't see a pattern, it's kind of weaknesses. Okay, it's kind of weakness. But is it a major weakness? This is on the monthly chart. So we are seeing some sort of weaknesses in terms of buyer sentiment to pull it up. Okay, that's number 1 point. But we will try to continue to see. This is on the monthly. I mean, if you are very long, long time investor, then it is a concern for you. But some of us are actually short-term players. So for short-term players, you don't look at the much. You don't put a heavy weight on the monthly chart, but rather than you put more on the shorter time range chart. So we're gonna now move on to the weekly chart. So if you have gained some new knowledge, do subscribe this channel and like this video, and then I'm going to give you a lot more new ideas for you how to analyze. So now I'm going to straightly move to what you call weekly chart. Okay, have you all hit that subscribe button? Give me support, hit the subscribe button. We're going to continue, by the way. Now we are on the weekly chart. So what can we observe in the weekly? It's slightly a different pattern here. Okay, so what pattern are we seeing in the weekly chart? Okay, let us take the trend line and try to draw. So we will try to connect the top with the top, and then we take the trend line again, connect the bottom with the bottom here. Well, it is actually a contracting kind of sideway. Okay, it's a contracting of sideway. It's actually this is what we call a sideway pattern. So it's moving in a sideway direction, and what we can investigate here. Again, we can apply the A pattern. Well, before that, let us try to see Fibonacci. Is there any difference in the Fibonacci? Yeah, I see in the monthly chart we saw that a lot of the candles were actually hitting the 38%, but now it's actually around 50%, bouncing back from the 50%, right? Okay, so you see the difference in the monthly chart. So at the monthly chart, you see the what you call the, let me see. Yep. Okay. So in the monthly chart, we see that the buyers came in at the 38%. I mean the body closing. You see the body opening and closing is in the range of 38. It's hovering around 38%. But if you move it to a weekly chart, it hovers to 50% range, which is actually weak. I would say. I mean, comparing to 38%, now at the 50% is weaker. So we are seeing a weaker kind of pattern. Okay. Okay, that's number 1 point. It's slightly weaker compared to monthly, but it's still good because we only worry more if it goes beyond that 50%. I mean, we see some wicks here below that 50%. That is not so concerning. As long as the closing here, it managed to retrace up at the 50%. I think that should be fine. Okay. Okay. The other thing you can look at in this chart is we can try to look for A pattern, because A pattern will be helpful for us to analyze how strength is the buyers and sellers to do a breakout. Or so, for example, can the buyers attempt to break out of this particular line I'm highlighting right now? This is a resistance line, right? And here down here is the support line, right? So let's see, is there any sort of indication that the buyers can actually pull out, or rather break out from this particular resistance line? So let us do that study. Okay, so usual way is by you looking for A pattern. Again, let me see the A pattern. Look for A pattern. Okay, the highest point is this node. Okay, this particular candle. Okay, so we'll make this as a center and we will draw a water line. Okay, here is the water line at the closing of it. Okay, we'll try to see 3 to the left and 3 to the right candles. So to the left, we'll look for a candle that is like 50% beyond the 50%, what you call the water line, the blue line that I have there. And we are looking for a bearish kind of candle. Oh, sorry, it must be a bullish kind of candle, not bearish, because we are testing the resistance, right? We are testing the resistance. So we should be looking for a bullish kind of candle. So bullish kind of candle we have is only this candle. Okay, so let me draw. This candle is bullish there. Okay, now let's try to see on the 3 to the right hand side of the center. So 3 to the right, this is a bearish, but this time we are looking for bearish that is beyond the waterline here. So this is a center. The first candle after the center is bearish but is above the waterline. We want something below waterline. Second candle is the bullish above waterline. No, we can't take that. And then the third one also above waterline. We can't take that. So that means we are not experiencing any weaknesses. We are not experiencing any A pattern. When we don't see any A pattern, that itself is a weakness sign. Okay, because we are anticipating for some. We want to see whether the bull managed to pull down and all. The bear managed to pull down and all that. So when the bear doesn't form, that is actually kind of weaknesses in this theory, A pattern theory. Yeah? So just listen. You might find it surprising, but actually it makes sense at the end. Okay, then we look at the comparatively, and another line that hits the resistance here is this particular line. Okay, this line. Okay, that line will become the center. So we look at it. We'll draw a water line first. Okay, we draw a water line. So it's so thin. So water line is there. Okay, so now we look 3 to the left. Well, we have one bull candle, so we will look for the bull to the left. So and then we'll also look at one bear to the right. So you see this we do have a pattern here. Okay, so this becomes the bull to the left, and this becomes the bear to the left, and both of these are actually 50% more than the waterline. So how do we conclude this? So if you look at the bull, we look, okay, I may need to remove all the remarks there. So what you need to do is you need to look at the low part of the bull. See, the bear here managed to go beyond the low part of the bull. So that means it's weak sign. So without A pattern is called the weakest pattern. And then now it becomes weak. So relatively, comparing the previous and the current, it becomes stronger. That's the fantastic thing about this study. Okay, so in the first A pattern study, if you don't understand, rewind back and try to look into this video. So this in this part we have we don't have any A pattern. We tried to look for A pattern, we didn't see any. So that itself signs the weakest strength. And then here at this point we do find an A pattern, but that A pattern is weak. So when you compare the weakest with the weak, it's actually gaining strength. You see the picture? Okay. So now that means the bias here at this particular resistor 9, they have some strengthness in the ability to pull it up. Okay, pull up and create a breakout. But we cannot just stop there our analysis. We also need to look at the support here. Okay, at the support here, similarly we look for center candle. So the center candle is the lowest. Okay, at the resistance, at the support line, this support line, the lowest is this particular candle that is hitting the support line. So this is the candle that hits the support line, right? Okay, the water line for this particular pattern is going to be so high. We don't see any bearish kind of pull down. Neither we see any, well, we do see a bull here, bullish kind of pull up within the 3 candles limit to the right. So this is the one, right? So we see that. But unfortunately, it's not a complete A pattern, because to have a complete A pattern to your left also you need to have a bearish kind of pull down below this, or rather above this waterline. So we need to have something pull down, a bear pull down, and then at the center is the lowest, and then we need a bull to pull it up. So we will compare the bear with the bull, but here we don't have any bear to compare with, so it's not an A pattern. So at this point, at this junction here, we don't have any A pattern, so that means it's a weakest sign. Now we'll try to move on to this area. So at this area, the lowest that hits the support line is this particular candle, right? This candle that hits the support, right? So we'll make that as the center, and we'll try to draw what you call a water line. So that's a water line. So now we will look at the bear before we will look at the 3 candle to the left and 3 candle to the right. To the left we do have a bear here, right? We do have a bear. So that's the bear. So let me highlight it for you. So this is a bear sign, and it is like above the water line. And also we do have a bull above the water line, which is this, right? So can you see those things? So once you're able to see, I'll just remove the remarks there, otherwise because it's going to disturb us reading. So if you look at the bear here, okay, so we look at the high of the bear. Okay, we look at the high of the bear, and you notice that the bull here did not manage to pull beyond the body. The body of the bull must be able to go beyond the what you call the height of the bear. But we didn't see that, so that means that it's weaknesses. Okay, so there's a weaknesses. So that means from the weakest point here, where we don't have any A pattern, when we don't have any A pattern, that's the weakest. And then here we have we have a A pattern, but it's a weak A pattern. So from the weakest to become weak is actually a strength. So that means it also gaining strength to pull down, to do what you call So at this support, it may break down. It may break down because the strength is there for the sellers as well. So what we are seeing right now is a kind of equilibrium situation. At the buyer side, buyer is having strength to pull it up, and the seller also having a strength to pull down beyond this particular support line, right? So how do you conclude? So we will conclude that because the strength is even between the buyers and sellers, so we will say that this is going to continue in a sideways pattern. We will say that it's going to be in the sideways pattern. Okay, so that is in the monthly or the weekly chart. So that's what we see in the weekly chart, and we'll try to clear this screen. Okay, if okay, immediate pattern we have is a sideways. If it managed to, let's say, break out from this line, okay, this particular resistance, okay, the analysis using a pattern is in terms of hierarchy of the reliability is weakest. More reliable one is actually what you call the Fibonacci. So just now we saw Fibonacci, it bounced back at 50% level, right? That means the buyers still have strength. So in terms of the ranking, right? So we're seeing that the Fibonacci is saying that it is having buyers still having some strength. But when we do the A pattern analysis, they are kind of even in terms of power. Therefore, in medium term, we can say it might, immediate term, we may say that it may go in a sideways pattern. But overall, the buyers still have power because of the Fibonacci, which retraces only at the 50% level. Okay, it didn't go beyond that, right? So overall, sentiment-wise, I will say that still it is positive. Okay, so if it happened to break out from this particular resistance line, right? So what will be the projection? So now we'll do the projection. So we'll take from the low here, and then to the high, and then to the low here. Okay. Now I see for the sellers to bring it up, it took longer number of days compared to the for the buyers to bring it up, it took longer number of days, and the seller took shorter number of days to pull it down. Okay, to the lowest here. That means the sellers sentiments wise are quite strong because they managed to pull it in a very quick manner. So now we are looking at the time perspective. How long each guys took, the buyers and the sellers. Buyer took longer time, seller took shorter time. So because of the sellers took shorter time, we will use Fibonacci level 0.618. So that means our target is only around here. Our target is around here, 618. So let me adjust it. So that means we are targeting a price of let me see, $53.24. $53 in other words. So there is a potential for it to go up at to the price of $53, and it is how reliable it is, quite okay. We are neutral, in other words, because when we see the retracement, it retraces at 50% point, so it creates some neutrality there. So there is still a possibility for it to move up to that 53%, and we will need to look at the shorter time frame, which is the day chart. So if you look at the day chart, you see slightly very different picture. Okay, and okay, so before we go there, hit that subscribe button. I hope you have gained a lot of information, analysis technique from this part of weekly analysis. So hit the subscribe button. We're going to continue soon. So now let's move to that day chart. Okay, in the day chart, okay, let me clear. Day chart is a short term play. See, one interesting thing we can see in the short term is the pattern is actually, as I mentioned at the early part of the video, you see there is a pattern here. Let me adjust it. It's like a descending triangle. If you observe this pattern, right, it's like a descending triangle. Okay, so now you see the base here is quite flat. You see the buyers keep supporting it here, supporting the price. The sellers manage to pull down. Every time the buyer is pushing out, the seller pulling down. Buyer push it up, selling, the seller pulling down. And generally, this kind of descending triangle is actually a sign of weaknesses. Okay, but the surprising thing that we can see in this stock ChargePoint is it managed to do a breakout. Usually, it's not possible, but this time it managed to do it here. Usually, it will break down here, and the price will tend to go down. That's the nature of descending triangle. But surprisingly, in this chart, we saw a breakup at this resistance line. So that, in terms of short term, right, it suggests some sort of bullishness. Okay, so and we saw that the price actually moved quite, and you see the other thing you need to notice is actually the volume. So the volume also picked up when the breakout happened. You see the volume picked up here. So when it was in a descending triangle, the volume was going down. So that is actually the nature of descending triangle. So it will be a descending volume as the descending triangle is forming, and once the breakout happen, we see what we call a pull in the volume. So that's a healthy thing. So that means there is buying interest in this particular counter. So that's why the price pushed up all the way to $36. Right now it's experiencing retracement. So now let's try to look at this retracement. So generally it's positive. So now let's try to look at this retracement, how severe it is. So we'll take the low here to the high there. Well, it hasn't reached that 50% yet. So we are still looking into it. So if it goes beyond that 50%, then sorry to say it's a bad thing. But if it tried to bounce back from that 50%, I think it's still neutral and still healthy. I would say it might still go up. So our price target just now was 53, right? And let us try to also look at the downside potential for this. Okay, so we'll look at the Fibonacci trend-based retracement. So I'll take the high here to the low and then to the high. So it went down in a long period of time and then went up in a short period of time. So the low target for it is 618, somewhere around here. Okay, it shouldn't touch this level. Okay, so we found both the high target and low target. The low target is somewhere here, $19, around $20 there. The thing is, it should not touch this particular low target. If it touch the low target here, then the trend will actually change. So it must try to hit the up target. So if we hit the up target, then try to move on an upward move. If we hit both up target and down target, then it might do a sideways pattern. Okay, so we just try to look at what is the down target. So we saw it around $20. But anyway, I think in terms of buyer sentiment, I think there is some buying interest, because overall the retracement in the weekly chart was around 50%, and then we saw a kind of descending triangle breakout. So we saw it somewhere on here, right? So that basically means that it is actually having some sort of strength in it. Okay, so I think we can still rely on this chart for it to continue to move up. So just observe the retracement here, and it might be a buying opportunity if it managed to settle at 50%, and you might want to wait for 1 or 2 days and see how the traders are behaving at that 50% retracement. I'm referring to this particular level. Try to observe how the buyers are behaving at this area. Okay, if they can consolidate around this 50% area, I think that's a good news. So you might want to start to enter in the stock so that we have that potential for the high target. Okay, so that's it for me for today. So we'll see you in the next video. Before that, please like, share and subscribe the video. Give your comments what you think about this analysis. Thank you. Bye bye.